A full-blown alt season is happening right now on Solana. Most people haven't even clocked into this yet, and Bitcoin has some incredible news to talk about. Alright, welcome back to the channel for another update on Bitcoin and Solana. It's currently Friday, the 1st of March. Guys, Bitcoin and Solana are going absolutely crazy right now. So as always, you know what we do with these Bitcoin and Solana updates. We're going to fill you in on the news. We're going to let you know what you need to know. We're going to talk about the price targets and the TA towards the latter half of the video. So starting off with the news for Solana. The news for Solana is the price. The price of Solana is absolutely rocketing to the upside. Today topping out around about $138 in the local time frame. And while Solana is booming to the upside, leaving 99% of altcoins in the dust, while we haven't really seen a intrinsic alt season take place across the crypto markets, we are witnessing a alt season take place on just Solana. So if we're looking at the Solana tokens we've been talking about, remember we called WIF at 10 cents. Recently this came up to $1.05 today. It's going absolutely crazy. C WIF, this is cat with hat. Very similar to Dog with Hat, except they've got a 4% token burn every single time you buy or sell. If you've pre-ordered your Solana Chapter 2, you should have received a airdrop of 10 million C WIF. So one of the first airdrops happening for Chapter 2 already. This is worth currently around about $10, so a nice start. And CHONKY. CHONKY has been going on a absolute tear. This is another Solana meme coin that we've been shilling near the bottom, currently up about 143% from the call. Now, this wasn't a call that took place over on YouTube. If you are a member of my Discord and you do have notifications turned on for the Cowboy Trades channel, then you can see that we were talking about this about 2 days ago when it was all the way down at 0.0001. We were saying insane risk to reward right here. All-time highs are about 10x away. And as you can see, this blue line right here was the call on the charts. And this is where we entered, and it has gone up 2.5x since that entry. So as you can see, about 145% increase so far on CHONKY from our call. And I'm thinking CHONKY is probably going to go a lot higher, currently at a market cap of 12.4 million. Now, small news update for CHONKY. To be honest, guys, there's not too many news updates to talk about right now for Bitcoin and Solana, so we're just going to fill you in on a little bit of CHONKY information. Now, CHONKY went to ETH Denver. I just really want to show you some of these photos. I think this merch is incredibly funny. You can just see this is just so memeable. This is one of the reasons why I'm really big on CHONKY right now. It's one of the reasons why it's probably my favorite meme coin on Solana at this moment in time. It's just so memeable. The community behind it is so big. I just think this is going to keep on growing, and at round about a $12 million market cap, I think this is just going to keep on going up and up and up. Easily 50 million. That's pretty much where the all-time highs are, but nonetheless, guys, let's move on and talk about what's been happening for Bitcoin. Now, moving on to the ETF flows. It's been a couple of days, 3 days since we updated you on the ETF flows. The reason why we haven't particularly put a video out is because we kind of talked about this insane signal flashing. We said, hey, Bitcoin and Solana, we think it's going to rocket up in the next couple of days, in the next week or so. We saw the price go parabolic. There wasn't really, in my opinion, a need for another video because, you know, all of my thoughts, everything we talked about is kind of manifesting right now, but filling you in on what you have missed out on over on the ETF flows for the past couple of days. We saw on the daily 520 million worth of cumulative flows, 580, 670, and yesterday we saw 92 million worth of inflows. Now, even though this was a weekday, 92 million is still very nice. The reason why is because we kind of saw some two-sidedness to the market, where BlackRock saw about 600 million worth of inflows and Grayscale saw about 600 million worth of outflows. So they kind of evened out, and the rest of the ETFs kind of just did their normal buying activity. And, you know, this is why we've got a little bit of a lackluster day. But nonetheless, like we discussed on the channel quite recently, Bitcoin and Solana supply shock in 41 days. We were letting you know, Coinbase is really the main person who's going to be funding all of these ETFs. They were housing so much Bitcoin, which they were selling to the ETFs day after day after day, and their balance sheet is just absolutely dropping. The last time we talked about this, they had 390,000 BTC. Right now, they have 370,000 BTC. So it's, just an add-on of what I talked about in the previous video, supply shock in 41 days. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, but it's still kind of TikTok supply shock in my opinion. I don't know how long we can continue seeing, $500 million, $1 billion worth of inflows every single day, and Coinbase and, others are not going to have a liquidity crunch. But that's pretty much all I had to talk about for Bitcoin today. I do also want to point you over to the fact that open interest, Bitcoin volume on futures is absolutely rocketing to the upside right now. The one thing that I would hazard a little bit of caution on chain is the fact that the Bitcoin funding rates are currently sitting at 5.76%. That is ridiculously high. Normally, when funding rates for longs are so heavily to the upside, it's kind of a signal that you need to see a short-term flush out of the market. That doesn't mean an absolute rocket to the downside in price, but it normally does result in longs getting liquidated. As you can see, the price of Bitcoin right now is just on a straight line back up. So, normally what this entails is the price coming slightly down to the downside, and then you see kind of like a long squeeze where lots of longs get squeezed out of their positions, and that's very healthy. Bitcoin going up in a straight line is all cool for us, but it just means that when we do crash, it's going to be more brutal. So I'd prefer to see a slow but steady, well, not slow but steady, but you know what I mean, like if we're going up in a nice trajectory, we're having slight pullbacks, we're finding support, taking that next leg up, finding that next level of support, that is the most healthy way where in the end of this bull run we can achieve the highest price possible, not going up in a straight line and having funding fees stay at 5.7% for a long period of time. So I would just be a little bit risk off right now. I will talk about that in just a second when we do hop into the analysis. But at least wrapping up in terms of the news segment, I did also want to talk very quickly about the SP 500. Now for the insider transaction ratio, we've seen one of our lowest readings since December of last year. Coming towards the end of February, we saw a bullish flash on the insider transaction ratio, basically meaning that corporate insiders are feeling very positive about the trajectory of the stock market right now and their particular stocks. So they're not really selling, they're either buying or sitting on their hands for a long period of time. Now, we've detailed this before on the SP 500, the corporate insiders chart. What we've done over time is we've tracked when there's been peaks and troughs, and we've, kind of highlighted these different regions, and we've, pointed out, hey, this is a flash in terms of being bearish, this is a flash in terms of bullish, and we've highlighted these with red and green. And as you can see, they don't exactly time everything 100% right, but they've got a pretty good gist of what is going on in the market right now. You can see they are currently feeling very optimistic about their stock prices as the S&P 500 pushes higher. Why is this important for Bitcoin? Well, a lot of people think Bitcoin is completely decoupled from equity markets and bond markets. I would disagree. I think we've seen some decorrelation in asset prices, but nonetheless, the S&P 500 rallying to the upside just shows that the markets are optimistic about the economy right now. And that's kind of what we need. If the markets are optimistic about the S&P 500 and then, the markets are also optimistic about crypto, those two kind of go hand in hand. But nonetheless, I won't talk any more about the S&P 500 because I know that most people aren't really here for this, but it's just a good sign right now. Corporate insiders are bullish on their stocks. The S&P 500 is looking very nice right now. The DXY is somewhat struggling. We are in a significant downtrend since around about September of 2022. Could this take a last leg to the upside at some point? Maybe, but at least for right now, everything in the markets is kind of pointing towards higher equity and crypto prices. Now let's dive right into the TA. So for Bitcoin, guys, it's kind of hard for me to, sit here on the lower time frames and draw out the TA because we're kind of just on a straight line up right now. We've hit all of the price targets we've been talking about. Initially, we talked about the 618 Fibonacci. Sounded like a crazy price target a little while ago, 48,000, but we hit that. The CME gap that we filled recently at 54,000 seemed like an optimistic target when Bitcoin came down to 38,000 after the ETFs were accepted and everyone was saying, hey, this is a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Bitcoin's going to crash back down to, ridiculous prices. And we were saying, hey, if a paper ETF was accepted, we might be on that camp still. But the fact that the spot ETFs were accepted really changed the narrative for myself. Spot ETFs, I can't be bearish at that moment in time. It just seems ridiculous. Like, look at the cumulative flows right now. ETFs are just buying up so much Bitcoin. But, nonetheless, back down here, we were saying, hey, these are all the price targets you need to keep your eyes on. CME gap, 54,000 filled. The next price target to the upside of that is the 786 Fibonacci, 58,000 filled. What else do we have to the upside right now to keep our eyes on? Well, there's really only two price targets that I've got my eyes on until, you know, kind of just start blasting up into price discovery. And that is this local top here. The first top back in April of 2021, 65,000. And the next one is the all-time high, guys, at 69,000. I mean, realistically, if we come over to the weekly time frame, there's not really any other resistance levels, because these are kind of just quick, sharp wicks up and down, wicks up and down. There's not really anything significant between this level right now, 61,700, and blasting off into new all-time highs. With that said as well, in the lower time frames, we'll have to keep you updated if we see any technical patterns start to flash, and we'll kind of let you know like what different price targets we can expect in the short term. But, you know, look at this. This was the last technical pattern that we had. This was a bull flag / falling wedge. We broke to the upside of this. Right now, you know, it's a little bit difficult, or a little bit stupid in my opinion, to start drawing technical analysis patterns when we've just had a straight line to the upside. So what I'd say is, in the short term, see how things develop. What I wanted to talk about a little bit earlier on is the fact that I am currently de-risking from all of my longs. I previously discussed this, how, you know, the 50 TMA strategy was saying to long Bitcoin. I was saying I'm longing Solana at $104. I want to let you know that while I am still in spot, and I am very, very bullishly in spot right now, I am out of any leverage long positions. And the main reason for that is because we're right at previous all-time highs. Funding rates are at 5.7%. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a slight dip before we start tearing to the upside. But, you know, does that mean I'm saying sell and wait for that dip? Absolutely not. ETFs are coming and they're buying up every single dip. So this cycle is just a little bit different. I really wouldn't be selling on spot, trying to time and being like, oh, if I sell here and then we have that correction, then I can buy back cheaper, because, you know, we might have that correction overnight. ETFs might just buy it up and you might just never see that price again. So this is my opinion. I think, you know, obviously in the higher time frames, we've still got room to run up to the upside. I wouldn't be saying sell on spot, but I'm just looking for that next opportunity now for longing. I am completely out of all of my long positions. I would be waiting for a correction to get in on a nice position in a long. Other than that, I'm very bullish on spot. I just don't think it makes sense to me from a risk to reward perspective, considering how we were long on, you know, Bitcoin back on the 50 TMA all the way back down here at 43, considering how we long Solana at $104, and now it's up at $135. I'm just de-risking a little bit from my leverage trades and waiting for that next opportunity. But in the higher time frames, guys, everything looks good. We're kind of breaking previous cycle expectations like we've been discussing. In previous cycles, you know, we've kind of got stuck at these 618 fibs. In this cycle, we got stuck for like a week or so, and then the ETFs just brought us back. We're just breaking cycle expectations based on what's previously happened because of the liquidity crunch that we've been discussing on this channel. So yeah, I really wouldn't fade Bitcoin right now. I'm just de-risking from long positions. With that being said though, I'm still very, very bullish on the spot. Now moving on to Solana, very similarly, we've hit pretty much all of the price targets we've been discussing. It was only about, when was our last video? We talked about our recent Solana price target 3 days ago. Now, this was on this chart down here. We were discussing at around about, what was it, $104, $110, something like this. We were saying, hey, the next price target for Solana, according to multiple factors, is $138. And as you can see, within 3 days, we blew up to this price target. I was saying, hey, this could probably take a few days, maybe a week or two. Boom, 3 days. We come up and hit this price target. So $138. We hit the 1.236 Fibonacci. Technically, the 1.618 would kind of be around about 156. You might want to keep your eyes on there. But in my opinion, the next price target that we should keep our eyes on for Solana is the macro high to the low 618 fib at $165. I think this is going to be coming sooner rather than later for a few factors. The weekly stochastic RSI for Solana has bottomed out. The Solana meme coin market is going absolutely parabolic, and to enter these meme coins, what do people have to do? They have to buy Solana or USDC, USDT, but it's more likely people are going to say, hey, look at CHONKY, look at WIF, I need to get some of this. Let me buy some Solana, and then let me buy some meme coins. So, you know, there's that buying pressure adding up for Solana right now. There's just so many reasons behind the Solana narrative, in my opinion, right now. And remember, you know, the long confirmation that we gave you, double bottom on the stochastic RSI, paired with the fact that you had a bullish confirmation on the 50 TMA. This confirmation was confirmed at $104 right here when we closed above the 50 TMA. That's when I gave you the long signal over on Discord. and we just haven't looked back since, all the way up to $138. Now in the micro time frame, guys, look at this. The Elliott waves that we've been discussing are beautifully playing out. I'm not going to draw the micro waves that we previously discussed, you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. Like, you know, you can fill these in. These are the macro waves. It's also a tiny bit difficult. Well, not really. I mean, it's I've always said this, Elliott wave is just a tiny bit subjective as to where you would count exactly where the waves are, but this is kind of what I'm looking at, something like this. I think this 5 wave is going to be the next wave up. I think this is going to be the last wave in this wave 5, and with that being said, we would probably be expecting some significant ABC correction after we do blast up to this level. But anyway, in the mid macro micro time frame, kind of, you know, halfway between micro and macro, this is the next leg up. I think this is probably going to be the final explosive wave that we see before we cool off for about a week or so. You know, we come up to this 5 wave, we have maybe an A, B, C, and then we start a whole new 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is just probably when we're going to go absolutely parabolic. So this is what I'm seeing for Solana right now. As we previously discussed, I told you wave 5 was going to get above this previous top, $126, and that's exactly what we're seeing. I think, once again, this wave 5 goes up to $165, and then as we come to this region, this could potentially be where Bitcoin stalls out for a bit. This could potentially be where we see that ABC correction, but guys, definitely don't fade Solana. Once again, I'm saying the same for Bitcoin. This doesn't mean get up to $165 and sell, because we could come up to the 786 and Solana might see $206 before the correction. So all of this, the reason why I'm pointing out different levels that I'm letting you know, hey, maybe we could get rejected from this region, is if you're a trader like myself, you might just want to consider de-risking from leverage positions. In terms of spot, guys, I'm staking my soul, I'm sitting on it. I'm hodling my Bitcoin, I'm sitting on it. Definitely don't fade these moves. If you end up selling, hoping for that correction to buy back in cheaper because that's what the charts are saying, but then the ETFs just buy it back up, then, you know, it is what it is. So for today, my friends, that's all I've got. You know my price targets, you know the developments. I'll see you on the next one. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. If you enjoyed, smash that like button on your way out. Peace.